Hi Year 2, we're here today to look at a little bit of geography. The day that we discovered we had to go home to isolate, Mrs. Bata and I were very upset because we actually had an afternoon of geography planned for you, and we were going to look at lots of aerial photographs and maps of London. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do that, but this video is just a little taster of hopefully what we'll be able to do when we come back to school. So what are we learning? Well, geography is a really amazing subject, it's a wonderful subject, and it's all about people and places. Today we're going to look at learning to use an aerial photograph and maps to recognise London landmarks. We're also going to be able to compare a map of London now and a map of London in 1666. Hurrah, a little bit of history as well. And by the end of today, you'll be able to explain what a key is and not the type of key that you use to get into your house. So spoiler alert there. Okay, this is an aerial photograph of London. Now you might recognise some things in here. An aerial photograph is a bit like being a bird. So we get a bird's eye view of everything underneath us. It's as if we're flying and we're looking down and we can see all the places and buildings underneath us. And aerial photographs are really important because they help geographers to map out towns and cities. Can you spot any famous landmarks from this aerial photograph? I'll give you some clues. Did you get them? Got the Houses of Parliament here, Big Ben, the London Eye, and of course the River Thames running through. So aerial photographs are great, they can give us lots of information about places. Here is our map. Now hopefully you will have looked at the other video to remind you what a map is for. Maps are great because they help us to, again, you're a bit like a bird, you're looking down, but they help us to know where places are. Now, this is a map of London city centre. So all the places we visited in our journey around London at school, they all are located around the city centre of London. But London is huge. Look at this map. This is a map of what we call Greater London. So all this is counted as London, and it's made up of lots of different counties and boroughs, lots of different little parts, little mini towns if you like, but it's all counted as London. And this part right in the centre here, you can see the River Thames, this part where all the roads gather, that is central London, where we've been looking at. Now, geographers use something called a key, and especially with maps. So a key is really important because it tells us information about the map and it helps us to find places on the map. So you see in this key there are some different colours and symbols, and they represent different things on our map. So here we've got a little green box, and the colour green on the map, it tells us here it means green areas. So we know that these might be parks or playing fields or something like that. We know that our grey and our blue means water, and we know that our grey box means buildings. Look, there's the London Underground station, so we know that symbol. So if you have a look closely on the map, you'll be able to spot some London Underground stations. Over here we have our stars, and they show us where our famous landmarks are. And inside the star you might have a number. Have a look. So you'd need to look at the number. If you wanted to go to the London Eye, you need to look for the number and the right star, and you'll be able to find it on the map. So keys are brilliant because they help us to find things, they help us to actually read maps. Go back to our bigger map, and on this map you can actually see down here in the corner there's a key there, but it's so tiny, it's so minute, we wouldn't be able to possibly read it. Now, this is the most exciting map I think I've ever seen in my life. This map, I found the image of it online and I did a little bit of research about it, I did a little bit of reading. This map was drawn by a man called Wenceslas Hollar in 1667. Now that was the year after the Great Fire of London. Now, how did we get this map? Well, historians, it's a piece of evidence that historians use to give us information. So it was found in his house among lots of papers, and the original, what we call the original, the manuscript, that means the actual bit of paper, is safely stored in a museum in London, and this is a copy of it we're looking at. But it's amazing because it survived hundreds of years. So the man actually drew it in 1667, which was the year after the fire, but he drew it of London before the fire. So this is London in 1666 before September. Okay, because I'm sure that if somebody was drawing London after the fire, all this would be gone probably. Yeah, so very, very interesting map. Now you may notice here there's lots of writing up here, lots of writing down here, writing here, and a little picture of a compass here. These are, the man was actually writing a key, but he's used some numbers and he's also used some letters, and we can't see them on the map, but if you looked really closely with a magnifying glass, you could probably find these places on the map. So even in 1667, people were using keys on maps. Now you may have noticed there's some rather lovely pictures around the side, and what I found out about these is that they are actually coat of arms. Now a coat of arms is a picture that represents either a family or a business or a king or a royal family. So they can represent lots of different things. And I found out that these actually represent companies that were in London in 1666. So business companies. And that's the pictures of their crests on their coat of arms. So can you have a look here? What is the same about London in this map in 1667, or the London of 1666, I should say? What's the same between this map and this map of central London? What's the same? Did you get it? The River Thames. The River Thames is still in the same place as it was in 1666. What is different about London from the map? What's different about London in 1666 compared to London now? Have a think. Well, we've got lots and lots of buildings and roads. We've got some buildings and some roads here, but it's not as big as London is now. So London has grown over hundreds of years. It's grown to be huge. Look at all these fields around here in 1666, and it's not a very big city, is it? But now it's massive. So we know that London has grown. It didn't used to have as many buildings as it does now. So you see how important history is and geography is, and historians and geographers have to work together to find out how places change over time. It's so interesting. Well, I'm going to leave you there, year 2. Well done for all your hard work and all that hard thinking, tough thinking. Have a look at the tasks on the website. There's some questions I'd like you to answer, and hopefully this video will help you. All right, take care. Bye.